My son and I were in the carpool line for summer camp earlier this month. And as the counselors were coming out of the building in order to bring the students in, the campers in, I realized very quickly I had missed dress up day. It was the week of the 4th of July, and there was red, white, and blue absolutely everywhere. They had starred, spangled headbands on the springs, that are all over the place, bright blue and red clothing all over the place. Guys, the counselors had glitter on their cheeks. They had put red and blue glitter on their cheeks. It was screamed dress up day, 4th of July. And I smiled and waved and, you know, brought my guilt level down a little bit because I had completely forgotten that it was dress up day. And my son got out of the car and he trotted off to camp in his very standard blue. So I guess he was in blue. That was great. But I missed it. I missed dress up day at camp again. So today I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the pressure that comes from trying to get everything done and hopefully get you to consider if you're putting pressure on yourself in appropriate and helpful ways. So thank you for tuning back in. I am Jennifer Meyer. This is Consider Jennifer Raw. And this is our space online where I get a little bit more raw, a little bit more personal, the content that I'm talking about online. And that particular moment at camp, it really did bother me that moment. That particular day, I really had a reaction. And that's not typical. It's not typical that I have a response to that because I had already made the decision in advance that I wasn't going to worry about dress up day at camp. Dress up day happens every Wednesday at camp. There's a theme for camp every week. And on Wednesday, the kids get to dress up in some sort of way around that theme. Now, super fun idea. And every once in a while, we can manage it and I get it done and we show up in the way. But the reason I chose to not make it a priority is because if I committed to making sure that my son was always dressed for dress up day at camp, every single week, I would need to be on top of what the upcoming theme was for the next week and then figure out what we had in the house or what I might need to purchase out of the house to make sure that he had something fun to wear that day at camp. Now, we don't need costumes. It's not like Halloween, but thought must be put into it if I was going to be able to do it well. And to be honest with you, I don't have time to think about it. On the list of all of the things that I have to do in my day, dress up day at summer camp is like 4 from the bottom. Absolutely not my priority. And so I deliberately said to myself, I am not going to worry about this. It will be fine. It will be just fine. And that's the takeaway message here. We all have way too much to do than we will ever get done. And we have to make choices and decisions about where to spend our time and where we're not going to spend our time. And I call this process triage. It's something that I talk about in a Get Real framework that I have. And it is the process by which you are brutally honest, radically brutally honest with the things that are really important. And all of that comes down to how well you know your values and your priorities. So there are a couple of strategies to help you make those decisions in a way so that you don't have to wrestle with guilt or shame for not doing everything the way you think it's supposed to be done. And this shows up in a lot of ways. I feel it most keenly as a parent, as a single mother. This is where I feel that mom guilt creeps up a lot. Like, I didn't do my best. I didn't knock it out of the park. I can't compete with the PTA, Pinterest mom, or family. Like, I just can't do it. And for a really long time, I felt really guilty about that. I felt like my children were missing out on something in some kind of way because I wasn't able to find the time to be the room mom or remember Spirit Day at school for this particular week. Like I didn't have the mental load to make it important. So when my children were young, like getting into middle school or late elementary school, I had a heart to heart with myself and decided this was a priority that I couldn't handle. Like it was just too much. But it doesn't have to show up with just kids. It shows up anywhere where we feel pressure from other people or a community or our work environment or whatever to meet another silent or expressed expectation. And when we don't like keep up with the Joneses, that's where some of this pressure comes from. The two main strategies that I talk about as it relates to triage with this is first, clarity on your values and priorities. I hound on this. It's not sexy. But guys, it makes such a difference when you have made a deliberate decision that says, this matters to me and this doesn't. When you're looking through your day and something that doesn't matter to you shows up in your list, it's easier to say, I'm sorry, this is not important. I will get to it when I have capacity to get to it, knowing that you might not ever have capacity to take care of it and being okay with it. But when you've decided in advance of it happening, you don't feel the same pressure. You don't feel the same guilt. Disappointment? Absolutely. I feel disappointment all the time. Damn, I wish I could do the thing. But I don't shame or guilt myself with it because I've already decided what matters. The second thing that you can do that is really helpful is redefining what the word emergency needs to you, or even what the word need means to you. We really live an incredibly privileged life. We have so much convenience. Things have become so easy. And we can fool ourselves into thinking that something that's actually a nice to have or a want is a need or an emergency. It isn't. Special need child at my house, my definition of emergency is imminent death. Imminent death. Like, are you going to die? Is anyone going to die? Then it is not an emergency. And the reason that I've redefined it this way is because when I was young, I had asthma really bad. And there were frequent trips to the ER, sometimes, usually in the middle of the night. And I have been in so many emergency room waiting rooms for hours. I just waited for hours and hours and hours to be seen by a doctor. And I could breathe. Like, I was having an asthma attack. It was difficult to get oxygen into the body. And I still sat in the waiting room for hours and hours and hours. Now, as a child, and my parents would probably agree with this assessment, at least initially, I was absolutely convinced that the emergency room was just either totally incompetent or poorly staffed. Like, there was no way in the world somebody should sit that long in an emergency room. That's ridiculous. It didn't make sense to me. It is an emergency. I am in the emergency room, right? And then one night, I showed up at the ER, and it really was an emergency. My lips were starting to get a little blue. We sat down at the admissions desk in the ER. The lady behind the desk took one look at me. She did a signal in the back, and within 2 minutes, I was in a room. I had oxygen, blood levels had been taken. Within 2 minutes. I had spent years sitting in hospitals for hours. But when it was really an emergency, they hauled ass and I was fine. It was done. It was taken care of. It was not a problem. An emergency is we have no time to think. And that is only true when death is imminent. So reframing what an emergency means to you in that way really helps take the pressure off. You can remind yourself what really is important right now. Like, what is the most important? Well, first of all, is anyone going to die? No. Okay. then I can think and I can make decisions. And the same is true for this want need thing. We have so much. One pair of shoes is a need. Everybody needs one pair of shoes. Any more than that, and I would argue we're getting into want category, not need category. I'm sorry, like there's levels of this, I understand. There's optimization in this, I understand. But base level, push comes to shove. Want is anything that is excessive beyond what is absolutely necessary. So if you look around your house right now, you are surrounded by an awful lot of wants. And the number of needs we really have is very, very small. This is a Stoic philosophy thing. It's super critical. And that reframe, along with reframing emergency, along with clarity on your values and priorities, helps remove the pressure when your to-do list is bigger than you can finish in a day. Because the unpopular truth is we have limits. We all have limits, and for sure, everybody's limit is time. There's a great book, Oliver Bookman, I believe is his name. I'll put the author in the description. Wrote a book called 4,000 Weeks, which is the average length of a person's life, 4,000 weeks. And if you have 4,000 weeks to live, you're not going to be able to do everything in the world that you possibly could do in those 4,000 weeks. You have to make choices. What are you willing to say yes to? What are you willing to say no to? And those questions become easier to answer and accept when you're clear on your priorities, when you've redefined emergency, and you respect the difference between need and want. So those are the three strategies that you can use. Doing that really takes a tremendous amount of stress off of you. It eliminates mental load. It lightens your energy and your perspective during the day. It's so helpful to do. And it's what allows you to effectively triage stuff through the day. You can have the best plan in the world, but we all know things come up during the day. And when something comes up during the day, you use those redefined factors, those predetermined values, that re-understanding between want and need, and you look at the two tasks that you have to make a decision about, and you triage. Which one is the most important to me? Which one is going to have the biggest impact? Which one is going to produce the closest I can get to the outcome that matters to me the most? Not what matters at all. What matters the most? What is the critical piece? And that triaging is, you can shove stuff off of your calendar, you lighten your load, I'll get to this later, and you move on to the next thing, man. You move on to the next thing so that you can continue to execute. So that's what I want to talk about. I hope that makes sense. Like clarity on values, redefine emergency, re-understand the difference between need and want. It makes a huge difference. I will end the story by saying that when I came back to camp to pick my son up, he was happy as can be. He had 4th of July stickers all over him, on his shirt, on his face. He had stickers all over the place. He had a little like pinwheel with red, white, and blue on it. He had an art project. Like, they had done so many fun things. And the fact that he didn't come to camp dressed up didn't impact his day in any kind of a negative way at all. At all. He had a great time. So I hope that that's helpful. I would love to know what some of the things are that you guys say yes to, so that you say no to other stuff. What are those things that you're saying yes and no to? And if this content resonates at all, feel free to follow me on other platforms. If you want to see how this shows up at work, you can check out my LinkedIn article. I talked about it over there. And until next time, guys, consider your life. Be on purpose. Bye.